Greetings everyone. Catholics for abortion. Often like to be referred to as pro-choice, but they are pro-abortion. That doesn't mean to say that they want as many people as possible to have abortions, but they certainly want people to be able to have abortions. Now, a few days ago we had an incident where an organization called Catholics for Choice decided to light up the Basilica in Washington, D.C., the national shrine, with pro-abortion messages. Here is the Director of Comms and Strategy for Catholics for Choice, Ashley Wilson. She was heavily involved in this. As you can see from her profile, she, her, so already we can get an idea of her ideology. I tweet about religion and politics, now Director of Comms and Strategy for Catholics for Choice, formerly Network Lobby and Nuns on the Bus. So here's this article from the Catholic News Agency on what happened. The group Catholics for Choice took responsibility for the images. So they projected a bunch of images, basically. I'm not going to read the whole article, but they projected messages on the National Basilica in Washington, D.C., which were beamed from a median across the street from the Basilica while a prayer vigil to end abortion was going on inside. So they didn't just do it, when no one was in there. They did it as there was a prayer against abortion. The messages read, "Pro-choice Catholics, you are not alone. 1 in 4 abortion patients is Catholic, and pro-choice Catholics." If anything, they should be making the church more aware of the problem right now, that 1 in 4, if that's a true statistic, that about 25% of Catholics have abortions. Other slogans included the words "Stop Stigmatizing" and "Start Listening." The words were projected on both the 329-foot bell tower and upper facade of the church above the front entrance. This whole "stop stigmatizing" and "start listening" thing, it really depends on what they mean by that. Because if they're trying to say that the church is essentially pushing Catholics who have had abortion away, refusing to listen to them, that's simply not true. The church is absolutely ready to listen to Catholics who have had abortions, Catholics who have done all kinds of things wrong. I remember listening to a priest who spoke about a woman who came to him in the confessional. He didn't name her, of course, and he said that she was very shaken up. It took her a while to start her confession, and then she said she'd had an abortion, and he heard her out and he absolved her. He didn't storm out of the confessional and say, "Get out! Get out and never come back. We don't want you in the church." No, the Catholic Church doesn't do that. If you've had an abortion and you're a Catholic, the church isn't going to push you away. But it does need you to understand that this is wrong, and you do need to go to confession and then obviously not do that again. But if what they mean by "stop stigmatizing, start listening" is basically that they want the church to listen to Catholics who are pro-abortion and then change their teaching accordingly, then no. The church is not going to become worldly because that's what you want. There are clear examples of churches who have started listening to the people, and it didn't get them very far. Protestant denominations who caved to the people, became more worldly, changed some of their laws, with the hope, I suppose, of getting more people coming to church, having more members. And did they get more members? No. Their membership has decreased. It really doesn't work. If that's the sole purpose, is to get more members by caving to the pressure and basically doing what the world demands of you, it's not going to work. Because in the case of, one example, the Anglican Church, they have given in to a lot of things that the world wanted, and their membership has decreased, sadly. And so essentially the people who forced them or pressured them to change their rules, they've had their cake and eaten it. They've got them to change their rules, and they haven't then come and joined the church. So they've forced an organization they're not a part of to change their teachings on certain things. And then they've gone, "Yeah, great, well, I'm still not going to be in your church." So anyway, a couple of days ago, after this incident, we had a statement from the President of the United States of America. President Joe Biden pledged to defend the so-called right to abortion and reaffirmed his commitment to the widespread availability of the procedure in a June 22nd statement marking the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, a landmark 1973 decision that legalized abortion nationwide. The constitutional right established in Roe v. Wade nearly 50 years ago today is under assault as never before, reads the statement, which was co-signed by Vice President Kamala Harris. It is a right we believe should be codified into law, and we pledge to defend it with every tool we possess. We are deeply committed to protecting access to healthcare, including reproductive healthcare, and to ensuring that this country is not pushed backward on women's equality. Women's equality, that is another key phrase used. Pro-choice and women's equality. If you're against abortion, you're against women's equality. That's the propaganda and how it works. Now, I don't really like to get into politics on this channel at all, but when the head of the most powerful country in the world, who declares himself as a Catholic, is making statements like this, it needs to be seen, it needs to be spoken about, it needs to be shouted out from the rooftops. This is terrible, because there are Catholics, sadly, who will look to Joe Biden, the president, and say, well, you know, Joe Biden is against this, and I agree with him. I think the church is wrong on this. No, Joe Biden is wrong on this. The church is right on this. And every time Joe Biden makes a statement like this, it must be called out. It's terrible that he's doing it. It's terrible that a man that is so powerful, that is the head of the USA, is saying this. What a terrible advert for Catholicism this is. You know, I'm not going to get into any other things that he does that are not related in any way to Catholicism, but this issue is clearly related to Catholicism in the sense that he is making a statement that's totally against what his church teaches, and yet he calls himself a Catholic and he goes to church regularly. If you look at Joe Biden, just the way he carries himself, in the sense that, you know, he talks about how his faith has helped him, he carries a rosary around, he prays it, he goes to church regularly, you would think, oh, this is a good Catholic, and then he comes out with things like this, and that's what's so sad. So there we go. We had some recent incidents. We had this group, Catholics for Choice, then we had Joe Biden coming out with this statement. Actually, Cardinal Wilton Gregory, and this is his diocese, Washington, he even pushed back on this. And I know some people have a negative opinion about him, but even he spoke against this kind of behavior and what this group did by shining those letters on the Basilica in Washington. So there we go, folks. I just wanted to bring those things to your attention. If you didn't already know about them, there's a good chance you may have. Thank you for watching. See you again soon.